everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. You were probably wondering where we were. Well, sometimes like in the world of streaming, things don't always happen on time, but we are here. And that's all that matters. And happy pre-Halloween.
Yes, I'm Tym Moss.
And I'm Wendy Stuart. That's right. We forgot to say who we
forgot
were.
who we were.
But we are well, because it's Halloween, right? And in Halloween, we all get to be other people.
Yes, and actually I completely forgot that tomorrow was Halloween, otherwise I would have dressed up. So I'm going as like a game show host or something.
And isn't that appropriate for Tim? But Tim left out. He was at Andy Troy's Halloween party at 230 Fifth Avenue. Andy Troy is a fabulous comedian. He gives really great parties. I have not been able to make them. Tim went as Spider-Man. Was that like a...
I had a little Spider-Man shirt that Suze, who usually signs in here, Suze Genero or Suze GX Designs had made that for me.
Okay, and we'll probably see her in our comments today. Well, you look very, very Spider-Man-ish.
I was,
and kind of appropriate for our show today, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
But I also had a filmmakers meetup prior to that or after that. And I had like 3 events that I went to that night.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's hard when we do 3 events in one night. Here's what happens. If you have 3 events and 2 glasses of wine, you don't remember one thing that happened.
And then Wendy's like, what did you do the other night? I'm like,
I try and keep track of Tim on Facebook.
She's my memory.
I do. I troll his page before we're doing this show, just in case like there's anything that looks like amazing that I want to talk about. For me, I went to the most incredible Halloween party out in Pennsylvania, where you all know I spend a lot of time, not a lot of time. I go out for parties. Okay.
Yes.
That's basically it. However, I went as Ms. America, but my costume wasn't a beauty pageant costume. It was, red, white, and blue. And the New York Times last weekend actually produced like an old style newspaper that talked about election coming or whatever. Looked like it was something from the early 1900s. I had that clip to my costume. I had, of course, sequins everywhere, a sequined hat, and it was so much fun. This is like my time of year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the weird thing is, normally on Halloween, which I'll get to in a minute because that's tomorrow, but normally on Halloween, I don't dress up because I'm doing shows all year round and I'm always in costumes.
Yeah, you don't want to.
So I usually just I'll let the rest of the world dress up tonight. I'm staying home. But tomorrow night, we're going to see Dorothy Bishop at the Triad. She's doing the 7:00 show, but I have to sit in the back with my big costume bag because then I've got to leave early to run downtown to the theater for the New City. I'm performing in their Halloween.
Yeah, they do their big Halloween show every year. If you're in New York City, catch Dorothy Bishop. Her show is from 7 to 8:30. Doesn't Diva's show will be amazing. It is every year. There's a whole bunch of us going. And then Theater for the New City. Of course, you can catch Tim there. They give an amazing
I go on at 9:30, I believe.
So, you do? Yeah. Okay. All right. My God, there's so much to keep up with. Right. And then all of the doggy Halloween shows.
Yes.
They're in these doggy fashion Halloween.
I hosted the Sunday I had emceed or hosted a doggy costume contest in the Bronx, which was so much fun. It was called Paw-Loween, like your paw, Paw-Loween. And some friends of mine had won, who Hector and Fabio, and their dogs Sunny and
Cher.
Cher actually, they did have Sunny and Cher passed away last year. So they got Lola, another little Chihuahua who's the most adorable thing. But he had dressed them up as Chia pets.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It was hysterical. Yeah.
Hilarious.
So they won.
And of course, we had the one on the Lower East Side here where our friend Summer Strand, her dog won that contest.
Oh,
that she was like a Marilyn Monroe character, and the dog was, I'm not kidding you, driving a car.
Yes.
April Moon is her dog. April Moon was in full costume driving the car. You know what? You can't make this stuff up. But my God, all this talk about pets today.
Yes.
There's a good reason for it.
Yes.
Our guest today is amazing because
absolutely, what a life.
He's had an incredible life. He is a real life hero, a life of dedication, and came up with a gentle giant dog rescue for large breeds with his wife, Tracy Posner. Okay. They have saved over 30,000 dog lives. And then, of course, it makes sense that there would be a pet product line, the natural, non-GMO ingredients for the gentle giants.
For dogs and cats.
Right. Correct? For dogs and cats, canine nutrition, dog and puppy food. we all know him best as Batman.
No, as Robin.
As Robin, right? We know him from, that's what I wanted to say.
On the original Batman and Robin television
The TV
show,
series.
and
I don't know if you all watched it. I used to watch that show. He said things like, holy hot dog.
Yes.
And speaking about dogs, you know what? I am thrilled to have this guest on here today. Took the President's Award for volunteer service, a Lifetime Achievement Award. He can go to the head of the class. Please welcome Burt Ward.
Yay.
Hello, citizens.
Hello, Burt. We are so happy to, I'm so thrilled to have you here because being an animal person, as so many of our listeners are, how incredible for what you're doing. And you know what, if you can we want to just go back with you. You're a hero, a real hero. And in Batman, you were able to do so many different stunts and things. But what people don't know about you is all of that came really naturally. You really are the boy wonder.
Well, thank you. I was very fortunate to get the series. It was a very exciting opportunity. There were 1,100 young actors that tried out for the part.
Wow.
And when I got the part, the executive producer, William Dozier, asked me if I'd like to know why they selected me. And I said, yes. And he said, the reason we selected you, Burt, is that if there was a real Robin, forget television. I mean, if there really was a Robin, we think that you personally would be it. So we don't want you to quote act. We really just want you to do two things: be yourself and be enthusiastic, which I have no problem doing.
Which is everything that you
I did for 120 episodes.
That's wonderful. So you were typecast.
in the best way.
I guess so. In that respect, you're right.
Now, you had been a professional ice skater.
Yeah, I started. My father believed in an early work ethic. So at the age of 2, I became the world's youngest professional ice skater in my father's traveling ice show, which was the predecessor to the Ice Capades.
Wow.
And I did that for a couple of years. And then my father sold the show and moved to Southern California, where I grew up and had an opportunity to do things that I wanted. I'm very athletic. I was in high school in just about every type of event you could imagine. And then I also studied acting both professionally and at UCLA. And then I, of course, got the opportunity for the part.
Incredible story. But you also excelled in another area. You're the world's fastest reader.
Right.
Well, I was. I don't know if it still is, but I was. Yeah, the average reader reads 240 words a minute with 40% comprehension. I studied both at Beverly Hills High School and UCLA, and I got up to a speed of 30,000 words a minute with 90% comprehension. I was tested by the American Medical Society of Beverly Hills, and at that speed. And it's the equivalent of reading the play of Macbeth in 1 minute.
Oh, and, my God.
I also, at UCLA, I read a book called War and Peace, 1,442 pages in 45 minutes. And I got an A essay final at UCLA. So,
oh, my God.
So I have to know, and Tim, I'm sure, wants to know. So at any point, did they ask you to join Mensa?
You know, I wasn't invited to that, but I later on found out from the various tests that I would have qualified for that.
I can tell you would have qualified.
Absolutely.
I was dying to ask you that question. That is absolutely amazing. It was like everything you touched, you could do, right? You really are a real life superhero.
And just the amount of comprehension that you retain.
Listen, I can't even remember the names of the guests that are coming on. I don't retain.
Like I was saying, I can't even remember what I did last night. She has to remind me.
We complete each other's sentences because he remembers one half and I remember the other.
There you go. That's why you guys are the dynamic duo.
Oh, right. We are the dynamic duo. The love for animals. First of all, from everything that I read about you, you have a passion in your heart, of course, for all animals, but the large breeds in particular. I think you started with Great Danes.
Yes. What happened was my wife and I, when we had our daughter, and we were living at the beach, and we were actually in a very tall house overlooking the water, and we had our daughter, and all of a sudden now she's like 2 and 3 years old, running out onto the balconies 40 feet above the ground, giving us like heart murmurs. So we decided to move inland, and then thought it would be great to have space for her to grow up, and we decided to get a large dog for her. I always wanted to have a Great Dane. My wife grew up with Irish Wolfhounds, and we ended up finding a Great Dane that needed rescue. And we had never really knew too much about rescue, but we had heard that all of the breeds, every breed of dog has a rescue, sometimes more than one rescue in a city. If it's a rare breed, they might not have a rescue in that particular city. But what happened is we rescued this Great Dane, and we heard about others in people's homes that needed to be given up, because the people were either moving or selling their house or going off to war. I mean, whatever the issue was,
couldn't keep the animal.
Right. And we took the one that we knew to be rescued, and then when we rescued that dog, her name was Beauty, just a wonderful dog. But we decided, we thought, let's get another one, and we started contacting the people that had to give up their dogs, and at that point, everyone told us we had to give up our dog. It went to a shelter and was put to death.
Oh gosh!
They were euthanized. I remember.
Yeah. We're talking about 30 some odd dogs that were put to death.
Oh my God!
And we quickly started making some phone calls, and we found out that the woman who had been rescuing Great Danes in Southern California herself had died, and now all these big, gentle giants, and that's what they are. They're like big babies.
Beautiful.
But so they were all being put to death in shelters. And this was the first week in August of 1994. And I said to my wife, Tracy, I said, we can't let these dogs die. How about just for a couple of weeks till we can find somebody else to take this over? Let's save these dogs. Well, by the end of August, that was less than 30 days, in our home. Now, and I'm talking in our home, not outside, not in another building, not at people's houses. I'm talking in our home. We had 102 full-size Great Danes and 61 puppies under 7 weeks of age.
Oh my
God, that would be heaven. That
wasn't quite.
Except during dinner.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite heaven, because my wife, Tracy, slept on our kitchen floor for nearly 4 months. And the reason why is that all the babies have to be nursed. And with Great Danes, here you've got 6, 7, 8, 9 puppies, and you're attaching these, and these came off, and boom, boom, boom. And then after they finish nursing, they want to get up and go out and go to the bathroom.
Right.
But with a Great Dane, if they get up because of their weight and size, and they accidentally step on a puppy, they could kill the puppy. So you got to be right there to make sure they don't step on a puppy with 9 puppies and 4 legs of a Great Dane all moving at the same time, right? And then she would put out the mother to go to the bathroom. She'd get the puppies, put them into a warm area, kind of like an incubation area, to keep them nice and warm until the next nursing, and bring in the next litter. And by the time she got finished with the 7th litter, it was time to start the first litter all over again.
Right.
And this went on for 3 or 4 months until they had stopped nursing.
Talk about sleep deprived, right?
Well, my wife only sleeps 2 hours a night since she's 10 years old. I don't know how she does it, but nevertheless, so her commitment has been. And by the way, we never found anybody to take it over. That's why it's been 30 years. And I'm a patient person. I'm a patient person. But 30 years is a long time. So
now, Burt, I'm sure you have to have volunteers, right?
No, we don't have any volunteers. Tracy takes care of all the dogs by herself.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah,
we should have Tracy come on here. Why just this woman is a gem. She's an angel.
She's like the Mother Teresa of dogs.
Right.
Let me tell you, if you think about it, you're talking about 9 hours a day, 7 days a week, no holidays off, no Sundays off. Okay, not 7 days a week for 30 years. 30 years. Now that is a gigantic commitment.
That's dedication.
And now we have a person that helps me pour the food, because we're talking about 100 pounds of
I was
food
going to
a day
ask how many
worth.
pounds
Yeah.
of
And
Wow.
that is 20 30-pound bags a day to lift, carry, pour, and clean up from. I mean, that is a massive amount of work. So that's a big job. And but in the course of doing this, you see, these giant breeds traditionally live the shortest lifespan.
8 years I heard for Great Danes. Is that true?
Great Dane is 7 to 9.
7 to 9.
Mastiff-
Yeah, so I'm in the
Mastiffs
middle.
and Irish Wolfhounds 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I mean,
Wow.
that is such, and I must tell you, when we adopted almost
From-
every
from
dog,
birth.
but the ones that we didn't adopt, if they died, it destroyed Tracy. I mean, we were emotionally a wreck. So we vowed that if we could, we would try to find a way to help these dogs live longer. And we first, I mean, and just think of it. Just think of the immersion when your home has 50 dogs in it. 50 or 52, or depends on any given day.
How wonderful.
And
Really.
but you're doing this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You learn so much.
Yeah.
There's no book in the world. There's no teacher in the world.
Right,
There's
right.
no vet that
Experience.
has the experience that you have. You guys are really the experts on this.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And first we devised a feeding and care program. And let me tell you something. The world feeds their dogs incorrectly.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Hello.
We feed our dogs differently than everybody else. And the way we feed our dogs, it's called our Gentle Giant Special Feeding and Care Program. It's free. It's available on our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com. But the way we feed our dogs adds a minimum of 3 to 5 years to every dog's life. A minimum. Okay.
Wow.
And then of course we made our food. And when we went to make our food, because we're really very successful in what we've done, my success, my wife's business success, we could afford to make the finest food in the world. And we did. But when we did it, we thought we had really mild expectations. We thought just by making the best food, maybe we could pull out another year or maybe 2 years in a dog's life.
3
But
years.
no, we found out something that nearly devastated us. And we found out that the pet food companies do things that we find are very horrible as far as we're concerned. And let me give you an example. Now, do either of you have dogs?
Oh, I have dogs,
one.
and I talk to every dog person in the neighborhood. The amount of cancer, the amount of, this sounds a little gross, but poop problems.
I'm going to explain all of this to you.
All the poop problems that people are having, and the illness, and dogs dying before their span. You're the person that can answer that.
Okay, I can, and from personal experience. Okay, here's what we found out when we went to make our food. First of all, no pet food company wanted to make it for us, because when we looked at the ingredients, and actually my wife Tracy is one of these people, she will research and research and research. And when she got into researching the ingredients, she found that there were quite a few of them that were controversial about causing cancer. And so when we tried to get these pet food companies to make a different formula for us, one that did not include potentially cancer-causing ingredients, they said, we're not going to do it. We make the food for almost everybody. And everybody, yeah, we make a different one for this and that, but everybody uses the basic same ingredients. Right. We're not going to change this for you. So and by the way, have you ever seen all the publicity about all the recalls? I think almost every pet food company has had a recall, but we've never had a recall. And the company that makes our food that is not a pet food company, they've never had a recall in 80 years. The standards are so much higher. But but just as a quick example, let me give you something you can go right home and test it today. And every one of your viewers or listeners, if you're feeding your dog, for example, a kibble food, okay, pick up 3 or 4 of those kibbles. Take them in one hand and rub them with your fingers real good for about 3 or 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. Put them down, rub your fingers together, and you're going to feel this slightly greasy feeling. If you've ever cleaned out your dog's bowl, you always feel slightly greasy.
Totally right. Or the bag that you take the kibble out of, there is greasy on the inside of it. You feel it. Yeah.
So let me tell you what that is. That is animal fat. And that animal fat was put not only to coat every single kibble, completely encapsulating every single kibble, but filling them on the inside as well. All of the pet food companies have much higher fat contents than we do. We basically use what's in the food naturally without adding this excessive amounts of fat. But let me tell you how bad it is. This animal fat, if you think about it, and I tell people it's killing dogs prematurely. They say, "Whoa, why would you say that?" And I'll say, "Well, here's the reason why. If you cook some bacon or turkey or a chicken, you had the grease, or a steak, and you had that grease, would you take that grease and pour it down your sink into your garbage disposal?"
No, you can't, because it'll clog everything, and that's what it's doing to animals.
Okay, and when you realize, I mean, if you poured grease into your sink and it got into your garbage disposal and you let it sit there for a day or so, you'd be calling a plumber, because your garbage disposal would be ruined. My point is this: when you realize that animal fat will ruin a metal garbage disposal, what do you think is happening to the arteries and intestines of your dogs when every single day, every single meal, every single kibble, every single bite is encapsulated in animal fat? You got to stop that immediately, okay? Because it's prematurely killed. What happens to humans when their arteries get clogged?
They have heart attacks or strokes.
Dogs can get heart attacks too, okay? Yeah. And so, but people say, well, but why would they put that fat in the food?
Yeah.
Why? Well, let me tell you the answer. The answer is that animal fat can, with any living animal, including humans, will affect your brain to make you think you're hungry. So that they do this to make dogs hungrier, to eat more food, to make you buy more dog food.
Wow.
Yeah.
So once again, it's all about money.
At the end of the day,
But let me give you the human example so you can really relate. About 12 years ago, there was a movie that was created about a man that walked into a McDonald's, ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Super Size Me.
He gained 55 pounds and almost died, and the movie was called Super Size Me.
Super Size Me, yeah. We both saw it.
That's it. That is it. That is exactly what happens to dogs. So that's number one.
So this is common in all dog food.
I haven't seen my personal experience in doing this for over 20 years with pet food. I've never seen one other pet food that doesn't have this excessive amount of fat on the inside, excessive on the inside. But that's not all.
But wait, Burt, I just have a question here. Why are they all advertising grain-free? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything then.
I can't say that. Grain-free means no grain. So the simple answer. But let me explain how that came about. But I want to explain how it came about.
Yeah.
Okay. Pet food was traditionally sold in pet stores. Okay. In probably the last 20 years, it's become more popular sold in grocery stores and in mass merchandisers, because the mass merchandiser in the grocery store wants customers. And so if they can offer something that they know people buy, that while they're in the store buying that pet food, they might pick up some milk or pick up something else, right? So, but the highest quality, highest end pet food has traditionally been in pet stores.
Right.
Well, because the grocery stores have big advertising budgets and things like that, can outspend the advertising of pet stores had to come up with something that would maybe tilt things in their favor. So the companies and it wasn't so much the pet stores, it was actually the pet food companies realizing that the cheaper pet food was hurting their business sold in, grocery stores. And although some grocery stores carry our food, which is the highest there is, but in the past, they normally carried the lower end food. So what they did is these pet food companies said, well, let's do something different. Let's make a grain-free. Let's do something to differentiate ourselves from everybody else.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying.
But there was a problem. There was for a time with grain-free, because there is an ingredient that needs to be in grain-free when you don't have grain. It's called taurine. And there were some pet food companies that ended up having recalls and dogs dying because of something medically called DCM, dilated cardiomyopathy, a heart disease caused by a lack of taurine in the food.
Wow.
It wasn't the grain-free because there was for a couple of years like, oh, you better not feed grain-free. It wasn't the grain-free. It was the lack of a single ingredient. It was a critical nutrient for a dog. Okay, so, but here's something that's even bigger. And you really touched on it before you introduced me when you started talking about cancer in dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let me just tell you, we've had here in our home, in our house, during the last 30 years, more than 15,500 dogs.
Amazing.
And we actually stopped counting 10 years ago. It was just too much to try to keep track of. All right.
And cats. You've had cats too. It's like,
but between 400 to 500 cats. Okay.
that's all. Between 400 to 500. By the way,
that's still a lot. I mean, don't misunderstand me. That's still a lot. But here's the thing. We've had less than a dozen cases of cancer.
Wow.
And my wife believes that those dozen cases came to us when already having cancer.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Cancer is the #1 killer of dogs. On our website at gentlegiantsdogfood.com and also on our cat food website, gentlegiantscatfood.com, we have a menu on both. And one of the menu items is no GMO ingredients in Gentle Giants. Okay.
Good.
And if you go to that page, whether it's the dog food website or the cat food website, there's a video, and we didn't produce it. It's an 8-minute video that everyone who has a pet in America should watch. They should spend that 8 minutes because the video was produced by the #1 research organization in the United States on the effects on humans and animals of genetically modified organisms in the food. Okay.
Wow.
So, and they probably have 100 videos, but the video we picked was because every person interviewed in this particular 8-minute video is an experienced, prominent veterinarian. I mean, these are veterinarians that have been around for like 20, 30 years. These are long-term major vets all across America. I think even one from the UK. And let me tell you something. They all say almost the same thing. Let me tell you what they say. They say that 20, 30 years ago, they would see one patient, dog or cat, a month that had cancer. Now, with GMOs in more than 90% of our food supply, that every single day, 1 out of every 2 dogs and cats they see already has cancer. It is wiping out our pet population.
It is wiping out our pets. It's expensive. The treatments, the cancer treatments, like an animal medical clinic, through the roof.
Right, vet bills have become like human bills. But let me just tell you what, for your viewers that don't really understand fully what GMOs are and how it came about. Okay, traditionally, when a farmer would grow a crop, whatever it was, it could be rice or wheat or fruits or veg, whatever they grow, okay? Bugs will attack the plant growing. And if they spray a pesticide on it, half the time it would kill the plant. So they didn't want to wipe out half their crop because it would put them out of business. So there was a big company. It's the same company that makes Roundup. You've heard of the one that you see all the ads on
it's cancer causing. That's been all over the news.
With the glyphosate and all the lawsuits. That company in 1996 came out with a product called Roundup Ready Crops. And they spent untold amounts of money. I can't even imagine the millions spent to go in and change the DNA of just about every single thing we eat. Everything we eat. Wow. And what they did, they by putting the glyphosate, which is the cancer-causing ingredient in Roundup, by putting that into the DNA, what happened was when a farmer would then buy Roundup Ready crops, that's their name, Roundup Ready crops, and he would plant them, and when he or she would spray the pesticide, it would kill the bugs, but it wouldn't kill the plant. The plant grew and produced the entire crop because the plant was protected by the immune system created by the glyphosate.
By its DNA.
But here's the problem: the animals that eat the plants, They're eating a plant that, number one, has absorbed a pesticide, and number two, has a pesticide in its DNA, and that's wiping out our pet population. We found that less than 2% of the food supply in the entire United States is non-GMO, no genetically modified. Less than 2%. We buy all of our ingredients from that 2%, which took us almost 18 months to even find suppliers.
Yeah, it had to be
guarantee, who could certify in writing that their crops and their ingredients were non-GMO. So what has changed? When you watch this video, nobody will ever be the same, because these experts are so cut and dry and clear about it, and you see the results, you see their reasoning. It's all 100% accurate. So that has been a major reason why our dogs and dogs eating our food are living. Okay, I can speak for our dogs, and I can speak for some of our customers. I can't speak for the 100,000 that eat our food every day, because they haven't all called. But I can tell you that our animals consistently are living twice their normal lifespan.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right now, we have one of our customers who contacted us about 1.5 years ago, and on January 3rd, which is 2.5 months away, his dog Lucky will turn 31 years of age.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. What kind of dog is Lucky? I need to know.
He's a mixed breed, and people say, well, how do you know for sure he's going to be 31? In this case, let me tell you how he knows. Because he got that puppy at 6 weeks of age at his animal shelter. He knows he got it. It's not somebody else owned it first. Oh, no. He got it himself, and the puppy was 6 weeks of age. They even saw the intern records when the puppy came in. But my point is, he knows exactly how old that dog is. That dog will be 31 years old. Now, our success, because remember, primarily we have the giant breeds. We also have some small breeds. And right now in our home, 5 of the dogs we have here are over 20 years of age right now, 5.
My goodness.
But we've had giant breeds, like our dog Tara. We have a dog that her name was Tara, and she was a Russian wolfhound. Again, like a Great Dane.
But a short lifespan.
7 to 9 years. When she was 25 years old.
Get out. Wow.
Inside Edition, the television series, came out to our house. They spent the entire day videotaping all of our dogs, but they focused mainly on Tara.
Right.
Okay. And they produced a segment, which you can see on their website. You can see on our website. And the segment was called, "Could This Be the Oldest Living Pooch in the World?"
Wow.
Tara, at 25 at that time. Tara lived to 27.5 years of age. Four times her normal lifespan, which is incredibly rare. But our Great Danes, again, 7 to 9 years. The best we've gotten is one of our Great Danes, or 2 of them, live to 22. But most of them are living into their late teens, which is still twice their normal lifespan. Okay. And so between the way we feed and care for dogs, which, by the way, the answer is, how do you get them to live so long? It's 3 things. It's not just the food. It's 1, how you care for your dog. We have a way of caring for it. 2, how you feed your dog, which is so critically important. And almost 100% of the country and the world incorrectly feeds their dogs.
Wow.
And 3, what you feed your dog. Right. And just like if you were to go to one of those locks that those combination locks where you have to turn it one direction to a certain number, then back to another and back to another. And if you don't get it right, the lock doesn't open.
Yeah,
this is the exact same principle.
Burt, is all this on the website? I want our listeners, I am going to be hitting that site as soon as this show's over. I'm going to go through everything, because my little nugget is the world to me.
Well, let me help you with a couple of quick things, real quick, so you can understand. Let's talk about it.
Firstly, Nugget is a Chihuahua.
Long-haired Chihuahua.
Right, I understand. So how many times a day do you feed your dog?
Twice.
Terrible. Major mistake.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm
We
finding
feed-
this out.
We feed every one of our dogs, and we've got, I think, 47 right now here. I
You
think.
only have
Wow.
47 dogs, Bert. I'm so
Well,
disappointed.
we're down. We're down right now. Okay, but the point is, we feed every dog here a minimum of 5 times a day. Smaller,
Wow.
more frequent meals. It's not more food. It's smaller, more frequent meals.
Uh-huh.
Like with
It's
human
like-
beings with hypoglycemia, to keep your blood sugar steady, they say 5 small meals a day.
Right. Well, it's the old saying, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. But,
Yeah.
here's the reason why. Dogs' bodies are inferior in design to a human body. I wish it weren't that way, but that is the fact. And that's why we live so much longer than dogs, because we're better designed than a dog. And so you really understand about why I talk about the 5 times a day. Let me give you, again, human examples people really get. In your case, and certainly in my case, have you ever gone out in the past to a buffet or a restaurant or a friend's house where you ate too much and you literally came home and you had to
feel
lie
horrible.
down to digest your food?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you feel horrible.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, you feel horrible after
There you go. But when that happens, what's really happening? Your body is saying, hey, we're shutting down everything else till we get this food digested.
Yeah. True.
If you only feed a dog twice a day or anything less than 5 times a day, you are making your dog's body go through that massive digestive
Wow.
effort every single day, and it's prematurely wearing their bodies out.
Poor
So-
nugget.
So let me explain to you, and I'm going to explain to you not just about the cancer, but the next level above it. You see, most dogs die of cancer because of the ingredients and of what they're eating. I mean, you are what you eat. But let's say someone is feeding their dog a non-GMO food, which right now I'm not sure there's anybody else that has 100% non-GMO. There are a few that say non-GMO, but when you look at the little asterisk, it says this was produced in a plant where there could be some cross-contamination.
Traces, right.
It's just
Yeah,
really
right.
like saying there's only a little bit of cancer in their bags, just a little bit of cancer, right?
Yeah.
But
Not
my
as
point
much as
is,
the other guy.
when you feed a non-GMO food, you're not bringing cancer into the dog. I mean, pesticides cause cancer. People know that. I mean, but if your dog doesn't die of cancer, the next level above that, okay, their bodies wear out. I get phone calls from people, okay, that will say to us, I'm upset. I said, well, what are you upset about? Well, I looked at your website and I saw all these dogs in their 20s running around like puppies. And my dog is 8 years old and he's starting to have a problem getting up. He's starting to have a problem walking. And that doesn't seem fair. And I said, well, let me ask you, are you feeding our food? Well, no. Are you feeding your dog 5 times a day minimum? No. Are you elevating their food and water dishes, which I will explain exactly why, so they don't prematurely wear their bodies out? No. Well, then what do you expect? Well, I didn't know that. Well, okay, but now you do.
Right.
So that's what's happening. And we talk about elevating food and water.
Yes.
The reason why we do that, what is the greatest stress on a dog's body? Because you've heard the term stress kills. The greatest stress, digestion.
Digestion,
Wow.
right.
So
I always
when
have
you
that
make
whole
an animal stress out, and so we elevate, and people say, oh, well, I went out and I bought an elevated thing. I said, really? Did you know there is a specific height for every dog? Well, no, I didn't know there's a specific. Yes, what is that height? That height is such when your dog comes over to eat or drink, your dog only tilts his head down. He never leans down or leans up.
Mm-hmm.
Again, why do we do that? Because to think, if that dog leans down, all you do is look at any TV commercial for a pet food.
Right. They're all head
eating off the floor, in a bowl on the floor.
Yeah.
And what is that happening? That means every single day, got to lean down to get the food, picks it up, chews it and swallows, lean down to get the water, comes up and swallows, up and down and up. You're prematurely wearing their bodies out. You're wearing their bodies out prematurely. You can conserve energy. And guess what? When you conserve something, it lasts longer.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
Bert, of course, my mind is bursting with questions. Okay. So you're saying 5 times a day, like in a 6-pound Chihuahua, how much of the can, I'm getting this food, how much of the canned food do you give them?
Okay. All right. So listen to this now.
Dosage.
I have people, and this all helps because everything I'm going to answer your question, but it incorporates to more.
Yeah, I know.
Call me and say, I feed exactly a half a cup of this, or I feed exactly 2.5 cups of this, and twice a day I do exactly this. And I said, well, no, wait a minute here. Don't you see the faulty in that thinking? What do you mean? What's wrong with my thinking? Well, let me ask you now. Let's see here. Today is Wednesday. Oh, yeah, that's right. When you got up this morning, were you exactly as hungry this morning as you were yesterday morning? Well, maybe not. Okay. Then why do you expect your dog to be exactly as hungry?
Right.
So if you give your dog a specific amount and that dog eats it, one day it might be fine, but the next day your dog is hungry because your dog just happens to be hungry. And now your dog can't tell you that he or she's hungry, and the dog is stressed. What happens to all of us when we get hungry? Some get tired, some get dizzy, some get cranky.
Right.
Whatever it is, the dog is hungry. The dog shouldn't be hungry. Now, you can only do what I'm about to tell you with our food. You can't do with any other food because remember, all those other foods have too much fat. So if we were to let a dog eat a lot of food of any other pet food that I'm aware of, they would just keep eating themselves sick, and they might stop for a few minutes and end up throwing up and coming back anymore.
Yeah.
It affects their brain. Our food, we don't have that excessive fat. And a lot of times people say, yeah, but since my dog has got this excessive fat in his arteries in his system, is it too late? No, it's not. Because something wonderful happens. And what happens with dogs is that animal fat is rejected by their body, but it takes about 30 days. So the difference between Gentle Giant's food and everybody else's just keeps putting that fat back in.
Right.
We don't put that excessive fat back in. So in about 4 or 5 weeks, almost everybody that calls us that's switched to our food, almost every single one says the same thing, which is, I can't believe I have the same dog. This can't be the same dog. This dog, he's smarter. He's more alert.
He's smarter.
He's content. He's calm. Or things like people call me up sobbing. My dog used to jump up on my bed and go to sleep with me every night, my little dog. And for the last 3 years, I guess he's too old to do it. And then they switch to our food and they say, I can't believe it. He's jumping up on the bed again. Thank you for giving me my puppy back.
Oh, I love that. Wow.
Okay. So these are the things, all of this, and it's all science. Okay. But people don't know about it. And then, and the other thing is, I start talking about once you get beyond the issue of cancer, the dogs, what happens is their bodies wear out. And what's so sad about that is that when a dog gets to a point that it can't get up and it starts pooping and peeing on itself, the owner, pet parent, will take it to a vet to be euthanized, even though mentally the dog is perfectly alert.
Dog is still there.
Yes. This is aware. And even worse than that, the dog, because he's given all his or her love to you for all these years, would never believe that you would put it to death.
Oh, they're so trusting.
It doesn't happen.
You're gonna make me cry.
So trusting.
It doesn't have to happen that way.
So
you know, when we lose dogs, let me tell you how we lose dogs here. Because death comes eventually, always. It happens in their sleep. It's like they go to sleep and they just don't wake up. But it's not from illness. It's not because they're mentally alert and their body just doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? Because of the food and the way they fed and all of that care. And as we've got them to the point where we've maximized their lifespan. And there's nothing secret. There's nothing that is like discovering the fountain of youth. It's all about helping dogs get the right nutrition and not prematurely killing them. And that's what we do here.
Wow.
How do we spread? I mean, I know a lot of people. I'm switching over. I want to try your food. I'm going to do this. You know, how do we spread the word? How do I go about doing it with my 6-pound dog? I don't even know where to start. 5 times a day.
You do know where. You just start with your dog. But let me tell you what you want to do. Our food, remember, is dramatically different than what every other pet food is. You know, I have people that call up and say, wow, why can't I just switch to your food right away? Why do I have to transition over a week? And I tell them, I say, because if all the other foods you've switched to are full of fat, what are you doing? You're not really changing some ingredients. But our food isn't full of fat. So therefore, our food is less dense. You know, density. You know, like a lot of people in Canada, their whole life of all they've eaten is meat and potatoes. They come to the U.S. and they eat salads and fruit, and it affects their system. Right. When you switch to Gentle Giants, you're feeding a food that is balanced, truly balanced with nutrition, with maximized nutrition, so that you switch over 1 week period, and you do it this way. You mix the two foods together in the following proportion. Day 1, 80% of that old food, only 20% Gentle Giants on day 1. Day 2, 70-30. Day 3, 60-40. Day 4, 50-50. Mm-hmm. Day 5, 60% Gentle Giant. Day 6, 70%. Day 7, 80%. Day 8, you're switched over, no diarrhea. Okay? You've got to do it very gently.
Absolutely.
And you get, and the thing is, you get these amazing results. And the other thing is, let me tell you something interesting. Pet food companies want to sell all the pet food they possibly can sell. Okay. Sure. That's their business. I mean, it's not wrong to be in business, but if you harm an animal to make more money, that's where I draw the line.
Right. But that's what they're doing.
But then again, even with the food,
yes, that's true. But earlier I mentioned to you about about what you want is your dog to eat the right amount. And I want to tell you how we have dogs always eating the right amount, because we've done something that I don't believe anyone else that I know of has done unless they followed our advice. And that is, we teach our dogs to self-regulate how much they eat.
Wow.
How
do you do that?
And when you teach a dog to self-regulate, your dogs only will eat what they need. They will never gain too much weight. They will always be as healthy as possible. And again, on our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com.
There, yeah.
If you one of the videos, okay, on our special feeding care program shows my wife feeding our dogs. And she opens the door, and I think 30 or 40, maybe even all of them. I don't know if all of them came out, but they all come out. We have these, and you can't put bowls down. Not when you're feeding this amount of big dogs. We have these giant tool chests, like you see on the back of pickup trucks, that workers keep their tools in.
Like a trough.
Elevated on concrete blocks.
Like a trough.
Right. And you press the button, the top pops open, and in that huge, container are 200 pounds of our food. 200 pounds of our food. And every dog is eating from 200 pounds. You look at the dogs. Every one of them, perfect weight, nobody overweight, everyone healthy.
Wow.
And what we did to even make it more efficient, because remember, I've talked about that digestion is the greatest stress on a dog's body. To further reduce digestion over long term, we designed our food so as your dog over time eats our food, your dog will eat less and less of our food and get all the nutrition your dog needs. Mm-hmm. You say, well, how can you do that? Well, we have something in our food called chelated minerals. Very expensive. These minerals in our food, it's not how much food a dog eats that counts. It's how much their body absorbs what it eats.
Right.
I believe there are pet food companies that would love to see a dog just keep eating. Everything that comes in the front end goes out the back end. So they have to keep eating and eating to survive.
Keep buying. The owner keeps buying.
We want the opposite. This is not about money. By the way, my wife Tracy and I, we don't take a dime from this business. We take zero. We've never taken a penny, and we never will. It's our charity. Uh-huh. We treat it like a charity. We don't take any salary, period. And but so there's not a financial interest, but the interest is to help dogs live longer. And so when we designed it with these chelated minerals, it maximizes the nutrition that the dog absorbs in its body. And over time, because I actually get calls from people 8 or 9 months later, and they'll say, my dog's done amazing on your food, like a completely different dog, but I'm wondering if I should change to one of your other recipes because he's eating less. Maybe he doesn't like it as much. I said, no, it's exactly the way we designed it.
Oh,
So
that
you
is
can live longer.
Right.
You live longer when you eat less, but but still he's eating. It's probably like people say, well, how would you compare it to other bags of food? If you had a dog, whatever size dog and whatever size bag of food that a dog was eating, that bag of food a month, right? If it was a big dog, it's a big bag. Little dog, small bag. But that if a dog was eating a bag of food a month, in 4 months they would have consumed 4 bags. Feeding the same amount of Gentle Giants in 4 months, they would have consumed 3 bags. So it's less expensive because you're not having to use as much, but it's far more efficient. And it reaches and all the body gets all of that natural ingredients, non-GMO, natural, no artificial preservatives. And when it comes to canned food, let me just tell you, go look at any canned food made by anybody and look and it's a little hard to see the ingredients. You might have to put a microscope, but not a microscope, but put something on there, a magnifier to see it.
Yeah. You can see it with your reading glasses. It's
watch out for these ingredients. The gums, xanthium gum, guar gum, cassia gum, all potential cancer causes. Carrageenan. Look for all of those. You're going to find them. You won't find them in our food though. Okay. And again, that's why we can't have a regular company make our food. So our food is made and our food, something really unique. All of our canned food is put into the can with fresh ingredients. I mean, not even fresh frozen, fresh ingredients. And it's then cooked in the can. And people tell me, for example, with our 90% chicken, they open it up. They say, this smells like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yes,
I mean, So Gentle Giants is the name of our food. It's Gentle Giants dog and puppy food, Gentle Giants cat and kitten food. It's available in every Petco pet store in the country.
Nice.
It's available in a lot lot of other stores.
And Chewy carries it. A lot of us
and Petco.com carries it. Chewy carries. People near a Tractor Supply, tractorsupply.com, you can order it with free delivery to your local Tractor Supply. If you order it with Petco.com, it's free delivery from Petco.com to your home. Free delivery. And I think the first time you buy it, you get 35% off. I mean, it's just huge. They sell so much of it and so many truckloads. And by the way, something else, all the pet food companies, when they make food, they make millions of bags of food, millions of cans of food and they brag that, ours has got a 2 or 3 year shelf life. Well, I wouldn't be bragging about that. I wouldn't want to feed my dog a food that was made 3 years ago. Would you? I think the sooner your dog eats food that was freshly made, the better nutrition. So what do? We make our retailers buy from us every week. They do not like that. They do not like that because it is so inconvenient. So in the case, like for example, Chewy, today I got, huge amount of orders every week, huge amount of orders from them, but we won't sell them more and we make everything fresh to order. So I don't have an extra bag sitting around anywhere. Right. Everything is made to order.
Yes. But
so
Burt,
you asked about canned food. I want to tell you about feeding. Here's what I suggest. Okay. And it was quick things. One, when you put first of all, you start off by feeding what you're currently feeding in a 24-hour period. Okay. So how much are you feeding at each of the 2 meals right now, dear?
This much in his bowl. Can you see that?
Take 2 meals, put them together. So that becomes what you'd feed in 24 hours, right?
Right.
And divide it by 5.
Oh no, not even a can. It's like
but whatever it is, whatever that total amount is divided by 5. Okay, and you should be feeding dry too. Okay.
Yeah, I mix it with the dry.
Right. Well, what we do here, and what we recommend is that you put the dry in, and even if you only put in a heaping teaspoon, not a tape, just a heaping teaspoon, and stir it. Touch every kibble you can, and every kibble you touch supercharges the taste. Tracy, my wife, told me I only made one mistake with our canned food. I should have put a warning on the outside of the can to watch your fingers, because your dog will take your fingers off trying to get that can.
But Burt,
so a little bit can go a long way. Now you can feed more if you want, but so, and then our again with our food, when you open a can, it's good for 3 days. So today is Wednesday. If you open it today, it's good. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you trash it on Saturday. But by feeding the way we feed and this teaspoon and all of that, you end up you use it up in the 3 days. You use it up in the 3 days.
But Burt, please remind everyone about. Don't just start with yours. Like,
no, you have to transition to our food and the feeding. Right, you must transition over the 1 week period. It does say it on the back of the bag, but listen, there's so many photos. My wife, Tracy, again, you see things on bags of dog food like veterinarian recommended. Oh, really? Okay, well, who's that vet? Oh, you don't know the vet. Oh, well, what does he say?
He recommended it.
On ours, the veterinarian recommended is a photo of the vet, exactly his words, why he recommended everything. Nice. On our on other bags, you see artwork of wolves or artwork of dogs.
I know the ones you're talking about. The artwork
on our bag, every picture of a dog is a photo of a dog that is eating our food. I mean, there's something about full disclosure and all about that. And so, but I want to get to the part about how we teach them to self-regulate. Okay? Because this takes a few months to do. But I mean, in our case, we never have to worry. I mean, can you imagine 47 dogs? Open it up, they eat what they want, close it, we're done. Okay?
Wow.
And we don't have to worry. One of the reasons why you can't just leave food out is because there is a deadly condition that kills up to 10% of the dogs in America every year called bloat and torsion. That's where the stomach twists. And if you ask a vet what causes it, no vet can tell you what causes it. They can tell you how it's treated, either with surgery, which is the main treatment, and they have to go in, and it's just very expensive, $5,000 to $10,000, untangle that stomach because the stomach flips. But we have never had a single case happen here at our property because we know what causes it and we know how to avoid it. And the way you avoid it, and then I'll get back to the feeding. The way you avoid it is you got to understand. Remember when you were a kid and your mom or dad said, "Don't go in the swimming pool for 30 minutes after you eat." Remember that famous phrase? Well, it applies to animals, but it's not about a swimming pool. You must feed a dog, number one, in a peaceful atmosphere, and when your dog is at peace. So number one, if your dog is excited, been outside running, or been on a leash walk, or been riding in a car, or started barking when somebody knocks on the door, you got to wait 1 hour before you feed your dog. So your dog must be, number one, at full peace before he begins to feed him. 2, the atmosphere has got to be peaceful. No loud television, no loud machinery, no screaming kids. That's number 2. Number 3, elevate their food and water dishes, the specific height so they never lean down.
Right.
Number 4, no exercise, including especially no walking on a leash for 1 hour before and after eating. And after. Now, if your dog needs to go out and you have a backyard, let them out as long as they're just kind of putting around there. That's fine, but not a leash walk. Because when you say, well, why is the difference? The difference is when you're controlling the leash, you're controlling the dog, and the dog has to stop when you stop, has to turn when you turn, has to walk when you walk, and they have to pay attention, and it's stressful for them. And you don't want the stress. That's the stress combined with the food on the stomach.
With the digestion.
No riding in a car for an hour before and after eating. And if you follow those things, you have no problem. That's why we've had no bloat and no torsion. Okay, none, 0. All right. And the other thing is, by the way, our dogs here eating our food, they're so healthy that the only time our dogs here, 47 dogs, have to see a vet is every 3 years for a rabies update because there isn't any illness.
Now, question, Burt, do you have all different sizes, shapes, dogs, and all different breeds, or just
we have
different things?
45 breeds here.
45.
45 different
Okay.
breeds. There's only 133 breeds of dogs.
Wow.
We got 45.
Wow.
We got about a third, and we've got them. We've got dogs here so small. A dog like you have your Chihuahua. What is your
6
Chihuahua?
pounds. 6
Okay.
pounds.
We have dogs here as an adult that weigh 2 pounds.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
my
little teacups. So you've seen them too. They're like the
Yes,
size of your
yes.
hand.
And we have dogs here that have weighed up to and over 300 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Most
That's a
people have
horse.
never seen a 200-pound dog, and we have had giants here that stand on their hind legs, like stand up,
Yeah, they're as tall as
7.5 feet tall,
Oh my goodness.
5 inches taller than Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
Okay, we had the world's largest dog here. His name was Avalanche. He weighed 305 pounds and stood 7.5 feet tall on his hind legs. To give you an idea, people say, well, I can hardly even imagine it. Well, think of it this way. On all fours, he would come over to our kitchen sink and have to lower his head to drink
my
from the faucet.
goodness.
And to get to understand better, the lowest part of his back, was 4.5 inches higher than our kitchen counter.
Wow.
And kitchen counters are 40 inches. Actually, it's 45 inches at the back.
Wow. My goodness.
That's how much. That's giant. Okay.
But but having such a wide variety.
It's incredible.
I mean, what a joyful for a dog's experience, a life experience.
And for their experience.
It's
Look at
just
that's so great.
How joyful this would be for the little dog and the big dog and just
they all
everybody.
get along. Everyone
That would
is
be so
just
wonderful.
one big canine.
Yes.
And we want to have that nurturing atmosphere. We have a very nurturing, and people that go to our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com, the first thing they see, they go there and they'll see what looks like a picture with 50 dogs in bed with us. And I've had some people say, well, that's probably Photoshop. And then you press the play button and oh my God, they're all moving. 50 dogs in our bedroom and tons of them on the bed.
How wonderful.
And it runs 11 minutes. We actually slowed it down. People were complaining they were getting headaches because you watch and you can't watch 50 things moving at the same time. So we slowed it down to slow motion, but it runs 11 minutes and they're all in bed with us. 50. That's what we have every night.
It's your pack. You have your own pack. We want to read some comments here. We had a whole bunch of them.
Friends of ours. Yeah.
Okay. Just go down.
Rose Trentman.
Yeah.
Says hello there. Glad to see you.
Need to read the hellos.
Let me see. Happy Halloween from Apollonia Cruz, the Queen of the Bronx.
Okay, Evan Lawrence. Yeah.
He says, I'm a huge fan. I have the whole DVD set for the TV show. I would love to know who is your favorite villain and to work with. The villains to work with.
Okay. To answer that question, here I was, 21 years of age. Okay. Brand new. Actually, the part of Robin, which was the first thing I ever tried out for. Okay. So I had never done anything before. And now I'm on set with some of the biggest names in show business. Every one of these celebrities that came in to guest star was somebody that I had either watched in a movie or watched on television or grew up reading about them in a magazine. And like I was the kid in the candy store. So I can't say there was any one because everyone was like, oh, I got to talk to them. And, you know,
you had
so nice, you know.
Yes, I mean, you had like Vincent Price, Eartha Kitt.
Egghead. Vincent Price was it, you know, and so many. And, you know, something you might be surprised to hear, but there's a saying that the bigger they are, the nicer they are. And so nice and so gracious and so professional. Oh my gosh, never missed a line. They just knew everything. I mean, the level of professionalism was just amazing. I was awed by their professionalism.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So I love working with everyone. There wasn't a single one. Everyone. I mean, Frank Gorshin used to come out to our house even after the series. You know, we were friends, and he played the Riddler. He was, by the way, scared of dogs.
Oh, really?
That's funny. Oh, that's great trivia.
Coming into our house. Well, I mean, that was like the worst torture in the world. But he got over it, and he calmed down, and he saw how gentle they were, and he was like so amazed. He says, I just can't believe I can't believe it, you know?
You
And
converted
it is,
to
I
Riddler.
must tell you, even a dear friend of mine, a friend that worked with me on the road when I made appearances for 30 years, he said, you know, Burt, I've never come into your house. Could I come into your house? I'd love to see all these dogs. I said, okay, come on in. He came into our house, and the way it is, you kind of come into a little foyer, and you come up to where you have a hallway that goes both directions, and you can see ahead. It just opens up very broad. And he looked to his left, and he says, all those dogs. He looked to his right, all those dogs. He looked ahead, all those dogs. I got to get out of here, Burt. They're not even getting up. They're all lying down.
That's how they're living. I mean, they're part of the family.
You know, I mean, the shock was just too much for him.
I would imagine.
But later on, he came back and he calmed down. But you just don't expect it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, even though he knew, he wasn't prepared for what he saw until you really see that. You know.
That's wonderful.
It's so funny. Anthony Maldonado said this is also fabulous. Thank you for tuning in.
And Stu Max says, I'm going as Robin for Halloween.
There you go. You really are the original influencer, Burt.
Absolutely.
John Griffin Attell, who we love, is in California. I grew up watching Batman in the 1970s. You came to Hayes, Kansas, and I got your autograph. Great job rescuing. We adopt rescued pugs, and this is his pugs are fabulous.
Pugs, yes.
And he works with the homeless and their dogs. John is an incredible person.
Yeah,
his pugs that he adopts, he puts jewelry on them. Now you know what the pug face looks like. They all look like dowager old ladies when he gets them. Suze is on there. Hello from her.
Yeah, Suze is the designer from Massachusetts.
She does rescue. She rescues small dogs and possums.
Possums.
Possums are the best.
By the way, with our two cats, the last two cats we lost, one was 31 and the other was 32 years of age.
Wow, my goodness.
That is amazing.
Yeah, but I can't read what
she wrote. Pet lover and store owner here. The best foods for our pets help them the most, and that's right, Suze. You'll be going to this website to read about this food and get it. It's our
life work. I mean, and you mentioned the 2 awards I got from the President of the United States.
Yes,
we also got 2 other awards. Tracy and I each received the Humanitarian Award from the United Nations. It's really, really nice. But you know something, and I love the awards. It was a fantastic thing. But to me, the greatest gift is the gift of life. And there's nothing that can compare with the preciousness of every life. And
I agree.
People that, like in your case, when you save a dog and you rescue a dog, I mean, that is a really special thing. I mean, that is a really notch up there in heaven, because every life is precious, and every one of us, to the extent we can make a contribution of our time or a gift of do something to raise the kindness to animals.
Right.
And you know, I'll tell you though, the only funny thing I get, the only complaint I get, sometimes, very rarely, people will call up and say, you know, you and your wife are so nuts about dogs and cats. Why don't you do something for people? And I said,
I can see people.
I'll say, if I help you keep your dog alive an extra 10 years longer and healthy, don't you think I've done something for you?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I guess when you put it that way.
Well, but you have to put it that way to them. Let them know.
No, Rose Trentman says, love to Burt Ward from Rose and her niece,
Ariana.
Yes.
Burt, the work that you and your wife Tracy are doing is so incredible.
Yes.
This will make you feel good. I live in New York City. We all hear terrible things about New York. Tim and I are New Yorkers, and we do so much charity. But in my neighborhood, the Upper East Side, which you hear terrible things about, how people are snobby, they're this, they're that. Most of the dogs I meet when I'm out walking Nugget are rescues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
it is, I got to tell you, heartwarming.
Yeah.
Every single thing you've said today is heartwarming, and you deserve a humanitarian award because
Absolutely.
you have reinforced our belief in people with
Yes.
what you do by saving the animals. You're really saving people at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's a big help, and you know, and the other thing, because we don't take any money from this, you know, I
It's
tell you,
incredible.
there's a lot of people out there that, you know, especially older people that maybe their kids have grown up, moved out, maybe they've lost
Yeah.
their spouse, and maybe that dog or that cat is the only thing they've got left, and that is like their family member.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
in our case, we want to make sure that we make it as affordable as possible. And I must
Mhm.
tell you, compared to the very high-end foods, we're about half the price, because it is only what it costs us to make it, what it costs us to put it in a bag, what it costs us to deliver it, and you know, and avoid the problems of broken shipments and stuff like that. We don't take any salary. We don't do it because we want people, every person who has a dog or a cat, that wants that animal to live longer and healthier. And you know, I must tell you, just think about it. If you don't have to go to a vet except every 3 years,
Yeah.
I mean, look at the stress. I mean, and it's not that I want to put vets out of business. There's plenty of shots that they can give and things like that, you know, and there's surgeries and spays and neuters that are very critical that vets do.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have friends that are vets, but unnecessary to have illnesses caused by not the best food.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Yeah,
there's
and
no
that's
reason to make an animal suffer, because you know, when your animal suffers,
yeah.
you suffer too.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
But that's so true about how the food that they intentionally create to keep you coming back for more and keep them
Yeah.
hungry and doing all of this, which is doing damage to their body, so that you have to take them to a vet and get treatments and surgeries
And then,
and all this,
and then you're
which
giving
is
them
money,
medicine.
which is more money for food
Right.
and more money for treatments and more. It's just
Right. Well, let me
money.
give you a perfect example. Remember, when we first talked about, we talked about the grease on the outside of the food. Remember
Yeah.
that? Okay.
I'll never
Now
forget
think
that.
about this. Let's take it to the next stage. So the people that feed that all these other foods, their dogs are eating a food with the grease on the outside. And I talked to you about that.
Mhm.
But now I'm going to give you a different angle of it. What happens when a dog bites into a kibble that has a coating of grease? It's not just the grease, but the coating of grease reduces the friction of the kibble scraping the
with
tartar off their teeth,
Right.
causing them to have much earlier dental problems. And those same companies that come out with all that grease on the outside come out with all those dental chews.
You know what? That was where I was going to go with you
money.
next. Everyone's
money.
getting their dogs, when they get older, their teeth is extracted.
So they're
Or, yeah.
causing the problems.
Right. They're
and then
causing the
continue-
problem,
yeah.
and then you're paying the teeth extractions.
Wow.
First of all, in older dogs, the anesthesia is dangerous to give
Yes,
them.
absolutely.
But almost anyone you know, especially with small dogs, they have small little mouths. The teeth are coming out. The
All right.
cat.
Let me help you with that. Let me
Yeah.
help you with that. Okay, first of all, anesthesia is critical for surgeries, but it's also very dangerous.
It is.
And it kills dogs, and and not even older dogs. It kills younger dogs.
Right.
You just don't know how it's going to react.
Right.
When we've had to do, let's say, one of the things that can happen to a dog is they get fibromas, which is like a fatty tumor under the skin. Sometimes you'll feel that bump. Sometimes it's on the outside, sometimes it's on the inside. When we've got dogs that have come in like that, one of our vets, fantastic vet, what he did, at our suggestion, he would give a local anesthetic, and where the dog was kind of be like in a kind of like a twilight zone.
sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Not a general, not to fully knock the dog out,
Right.
just to take him down. And he would then do the surgery. They didn't feel any pain. And in 15 minutes, they're up and they're fine. And they never went fully under anesthetic. So that is I wish more vets would do that. But let me give you some couple of things to help you with just in daily care with your dogs. Okay. At some point, we all worry about our pets, right? In other words, something happened, or, oh, gee, did they do this, or did they get hurt or something? Something that my wife discovered that I want to share, that only somebody that would be around animals that much would have learned. And that is this. Yes, you have to worry, or you will worry if something happens with your dog and you're concerned. But whatever you do, never show it in front of your dog.
Right.
There have been studies done where people were told, just relax, enjoy everything. We have dogs in another room, but they could hear and they could see, and then they told us to act like you're worried. And in every case, the dog became worried.
Wow.
Now, dogs think differently than we do. We turn things in terms of something's not all bad, not all good, right? It's like shades of things, nothing, not all bad or not, but a dog thinks all good, all bad, all friend, all foe, right?
Wow.
And a dog doesn't know, or a cat doesn't know, if you're worried, that you're worried about them. Actually, what they believe, and from our view of things firsthand, is that when you worry about them, they think you're in danger. Mm-hmm. And they also know they could not survive without you. Mm-hmm. So now they are on what is trying to hurt my pet parent? Where's the danger? And I'm going to attack it. I'm going to keep my pet parent safe so it keeps me safe. So what we tell people is, and my wife has the greatest line. Tracy says, if you worry in front of your dog, you'll never stop worrying. The dog will never stop suffering. You can't worry in front of them. Yes, you're going to worry, but you go worry in the other room.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Everything is fine. Everything is happy.
Vibe. Totally.
That's a really key thing. I'll tell you something else that Tracy does. Now, this may not be for your average pet owner, but she's a handler. She's anybody that handles this every day, right? She's a handler. So if she sees one of our dogs that's got some teeth issues, right? And again, it's not for everybody, but what she does, she will just open her mouth and with her fingernail, she'll just scrape it right. I mean, she just does it, and our dogs are so healthy.
Yeah, I've done that with my dog.
And they worship her. Oh my God, they worship because they know she really cares about them. She knows that she loves them. You know what I mean? And we both love them. We love them very much. But I have got to be able to do things to reach people, to be able to do interviews and stuff. And Tracy's caring for animals. She also designs all of our bags and all.
You guys are absolutely amazing.
A great team.
Burt, we want to thank you so much for everything you shared with us today.
Thank you for your passion.
Your passion and for who you
for all you're doing, and you're making such a difference in the world, and we're very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for people like you that also love animals. That try to spread the word about you don't have to think negative. And that's another thing that really drives us crazy. There are a lot of, I'm sure I know there's wonderful vets, but there are also some vets that probably should never have been vets.
I agree. I call them book smart
say,
vets.
Put the dog down. Put the dog down. Why? Because they see dead dogs all the time. No, It's not put the dog down. Every life is precious. Now, the only time we would actually do that, and it is so rare, I'm not even sure it's ever happened, is if an animal was truly suffering and there was no way to keep them from suffering. Of
course, right.
But if they're not suffering, just because they have a shorter term of life,
I agree.
In their life,
Absolutely.
every second is precious. Okay. And that's what we do here. Our dogs die here. Okay. And they doesn't happen very often. I'm telling you, I'm worried they're going to outlive me because they are just they're so healthy and they're so happy. And something, it makes us happy. Part of my enthusiasm comes from the love energy that I get from them.
Well, look at this, surrounded in bed with all these amazing creatures. Burt, we can't thank you enough for taking time. You guys are so busy.
But I also want to say, I'm a gay man. I grew up in Indiana in the 60s and the 70s. I never heard the words gay or homosexual. I had the biggest crush on you as Robin in those tights.
Well, listen, the answer is...
You were like my first crush, and I didn't know why.
But listen, it just shows you have excellent taste.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh, God. lot.
Burt Ward, thank you so much.
you
And
so
go
much.
to gentlegiantspetproducts.com and find out much more.
And there's a lot to read on the site. I'm going to be
Absolutely.
on there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Burt, thank you.
As we said on Batman, to the Batmobile.
To the Batmobile.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just hang out. We'll take a picture after. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.